Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
On average, 22 veterans from North America commit suicide every single day. That's one veteran for every second of this video.
The penultimate race of the 2021 Winter League season for Operation eMotorsports, presented by RECARO, brings us to Lexington, Ohio, to the virtual Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. This 2.25-mile roller coaster layout offers unique elevation changes and multiple passing opportunities, and tonight it serves as the warning sign for the upcoming end of yet another thrilling eMotorsports season. Last week, we saw yet another name top the pros as Dustin Burkhalter became the 6th different winner in 7 races, while also going on to capture the overall honors. All the while, Thomas Outson became just the 3rd different victor for the Open competitors, and Hunter Reeve continued his beneficiary dominance, capturing yet another class win and a podium in the overall results to boot. Now with 2 races left to go, opportunities for success are growing slim. And with a stacked field ready to fight for another chance at victory, the stage is set for our final sprint race of the campaign. Who will make the most of their chance in tonight's 60-minute contest in the Buckeye State? This is round 7 of the 2021 Winter League for Operation eMotorsports, presented by RECARO, and it's coming at you live on Pit Stop TV. Good evening, everybody, and welcome, as we mentioned, to the virtual Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I'm Eric Brennan, going to be joined tonight on the call for our race with JP Costa, who you will hear from in a moment. Emerson Arden working diligently back in our production truck, and Corey Rexford has us covered on the social media platforms. And speaking of, don't forget to check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/pitstoptv/, or on Twitter, twitter.com /pitstoptv_. We're also on Twitch at twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV/. And of course, we're streaming on YouTube as well at youtube.com /pitstoptv1 /. So many different ways to catch the action, and we got a lot of it here tonight, JP Costa. And Mid-Ohio is a great place to start to wind down this season.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be a fantastic race. I just expect such a good race as we had last week. You know, last week we had a lot of overtakes, a few mistakes, unfortunately, for some of the drivers, and I expect kind of the same due to the unforgiving nature of this racetrack. We don't have a lot of runoff areas. We do have, as you said, a roller coaster of a ride, as you can see now on your screen, just going up and downhill, blind corners sometimes. And I'm expecting to see a lot of drivers going on full on tech as we head to the second of last round in this championship. You know, if this is not the place to make mistakes, this is the place to crawl back your championship hunt, essentially, and just make the most out of it.
And that's some great points. We have a lot to look forward to, and this racetrack means a lot for so many, including a gentleman who we're going to welcome into the broadcast booth. Now, we talk a lot about RECARO and their involvement with Operation eMotorsports and the partnership that exists there. Well, Rick Sistone is somebody who works and lives in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and he's actually the RECARO Automotive North American Manager for Aftermarket and Motorsports. And Rick is kind enough to join us here on the program. First off, Rick, welcome to the broadcast booth. This is an event in which Operation Motorsports has had going for a couple of years now, ever since everything that happened about 1 year back. And it's an incredible initiative and incentive. We're happy to be a part of it. We're happy to have you here. First off, how you doing, and welcome to the program.
I'm doing fantastic, and can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be here and to be a part of Operation Motorsports. And I just want to give you a big shout out and thank you again for allowing me to be here.
We appreciate it. And before we get into your direct involvement with the series, let's talk a little bit about you. Now, that title, North American Manager, Aftermarket, and Motorsports, that is a pretty broad spectrum to cover. If you can, tell us a little bit about your day-to-day involvement with RECARO.
Sure. Well, my primary role is really to grow our network of distributors, our retail dealers, and of course our installers. As a brand ambassador, I take part in growing the brand, the market share, developing the product lineup, and that all contributes to my primary role. But our goal really is to deliver the highest level of customer service and to continually improve our current processes and develop and implement new ideas that contribute to our future growth and success.
Yeah, and considering the fact that your title carries a regional, granted worldwide, but a regional tag to it, obviously yes. RECARO has a worldwide base as far as customers, and its history actually goes back pretty far. A long history with OEMs, and I'm not sure, and I want to credit Jason Leach for pointing this out to us as well, I'm not sure if many people realize how long RECARO has actually been involved in developing things such as the high-quality seats which you guys put together. I mean, how far back does that history go, per se?
Well, RECARO actually was founded in 1906, so it's been quite some time. We officially didn't start making seats until 1963, and you are absolutely right about our regional footprint. Here in North America, we're in Japan, we're in Germany, and those are really our centers for RECARO, but we're spread out across the entire globe.
Now, for quite some time, racing has been a fantastic liaison for RECARO, and if you can, I understand that you guys are involved in a number of different facets of race teams and motorsports and manufacturers. I mean, if you can, could you touch on a little bit on RECARO's plan or even your plan with your title and your involvement on how you get to some of these race teams? Sure.
You know, it's really interesting. There was one point in racing where every single race seat in a car was a RECARO. But as of late, we're kind of venturing into something new for us. We are firm believers in both safety and comfort, and we're venturing into off-road racing. And, you know, one of our latest developments, we've worked with Vaughn Gittin Jr., who is a a world-class off-road racer. He is also a world-class drifter. Lauren Healy, and they're both part of the RTR team, and RTR stands for Ready to Rock. And they helped us develop the RECARO Pro Racer SPG XL ORV. Now that's a mouthful. The ORV actually stands for off-road vehicle. And, you know, we've worked diligently with these guys and with our engineers and our testers, and we developed the first FIA certified off-road vehicle seat. Basically over a 2-year span, we worked out all the kinks, and we were able to develop a seat that not only was comfortable and I'll tell you what, off-roading hurts. And in this seat, you don't hurt. And not only that, it's incredibly safe. In fact, while Vaughn was testing this seat in an off-road environment with a co-driver, they flipped their rig. They turned this thing over. And Vaughn, fortunately, was sitting in our RECARO, although it was still a developmental seat at the time. He was in a RECARO seat, which is what has turned into this pro racer. His co-driver was actually in another branded seat. The co-driver ended up breaking his back from the impact. Vaughn walked away with just some scratches. So we knew we were onto something there. And, you know, we just test the daylights out of our seats, and we pretty much put them through hell trying to break them in order to make the safest in the market. And this, I think this incident is a testimony to that. And we just launched this seat out into the market. And in fact, they raced with it at King of Hammers last month, and we're very successful. So it's something that we're proud of. And we do this in many facets of racing. This just happens to be one of the latest.
That's an incredible look into just how rigorous the testing process can actually be, intentional or not. Fascinating. And with that, there's an old adage that used to exist in stock car racing back in the day: win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Now, obviously, nobody's going out and buying those spec-built stock cars anymore. However, you guys are actually utilizing a lot of the research and development you put into your race seats, and you're allowing it to trickle into some of your street-focused products. How proud, I would say, is RECARO to know that the job that you're doing for the aforementioned racing products you're developing do in fact still have a bit of a presence on the street side?
Well, you know, it's interesting. As I mentioned previous, there was a time when RECARO was the only seat allowed in racing, and we all know racing's not comfortable. It's loud, it's hard. You're in these cars that are really stripped down to their bare bones, and the key contact area between the car and the driver is the seat, and it provides that critical millisecond feedback from the chassis, from the tires, from the brakes, the engine, the track surface, and it's got to be perfectly tailored, so that you can completely focus on the race at hand and on winning. But that seat also has to be safe. So with racing, you have to develop the safest seat to withstand all the rigors of that race, and that's become our standard. And when we develop a seat, we put it to those standards and can use it in just about any application. Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs to, hop in their car and go out there and start racing on the street. Save that for the track. But, in your RECARO seat, we really focus on our innovations in safety and comfort, and we apply that to the driver's seat, the passenger seat. So once you have that secret sauce for a racing seat, it's easy to streamline it into a comfortable seat or a dynamic seat that can be used in an everyday vehicle.
And I think I could speak on behalf of everybody. We applaud everyone at RECARO for taking safety and putting it at the forefront. As we've mentioned numerous times, tested, proven, and that reputation continues on, now over 100 years old. You mentioned back in 1907. That's amazing. But also, I think we want to, tip our cap to RECARO for your involvement, not just in this series, but also in a number of different options where you're able to engage with veteran groups. And you guys are very active in military advocacy. If you can, how much does being involved with that level of clientele and all that they've done for us in some sense as people who are able to get to live the freedoms that we do on a day-to-day basis because of sacrifices that were made by those individuals, how important is it for RECARO as a whole to be involved with those type of groups, and how far does that relationship stretch?
Boy, I've got to tell you, I couldn't be more proud to be involved in this project, not only tonight, but through the entire season. And, RECARO as a whole works very diligently with Operation Motorsports and helping to sponsor this series as well as actual racing. We do all that we can. We're located, our global headquarters is in Clinton Township, Michigan. And we recruit and we hire veterans in our company. We help to drive the development for products in the veteran disabled community. We really value our veterans, our military as a whole, and we actively support wherever we can, to not only advocate, but to help. And I got to reiterate how proud I am to be here. And my heartfelt thanks goes out to every veteran.
We echo those sentiments entirely, Rick. And again, we're talking to Rick Sistone, who is the RECARO Automotive North American Manager for Aftermarket and Motorsports. And Rick, you touched on it briefly there. You guys don't just have a heavy involvement in the military community. RECARO also provides seating options for the military. Is that correct? And is that something which you guys have started to expand upon a little bit over the last few years?
So historically, we've always been involved in some facet of military seating. Interestingly enough, the government contract that we operate under now, we actually provide stationary seating for command centers. So it's not necessarily mobile seating, but the comfort and fatigue reducing seats in a command center.
It's quite interesting. And now, before we're going to have a little bit of fun here before we let you go and talk about this racetrack, but I want to stay on the topic of the products at hand. If you can, before we shift into tonight's race, could you tell the listeners perhaps where they could find more information and learn more about all that RECARO is doing, their products and their services as well?
Absolutely. Always make the first stop our website at RECAROautomotive.com. And if for some reason you will see a language selection in the upper right-hand corner, because we are a global company, and it allows you to choose English in North America, and that will give you all of the regional product listings, information on every seat that we sell here in North America.
And we'll be sure to check that out. And Rick, before we let you go, we mentioned on the lead-in that you actually are from, or you currently live in the Cleveland, Ohio area. So Mid-Ohio is kind of your hometown track. So with that, what are your thoughts of this venue here? And perhaps maybe give us a glimpse, if you will, of some of the action we may see tonight, maybe some places to watch, some of your favorite zones on the racetrack in which you would try to utilize the pass if you were out there tonight. Just perhaps provide a firsthand overview, being that this is pretty much in your backyard, of what we can expect tonight at Mid-Ohio.
I've got to tell you, I've been involved in motorsports now for, almost 20 years. And that has taken me to so many different venues, not just here in the United States, but globally. And Mid-Ohio, not only is it in my backyard, but it's just, from a spectator's perspective, it is certainly one of the most beautiful and challenging racetrack that's out there. Be it a hill, a turn, a blind corner, elevation change, it's all there. And I think we're going to see some fascinating racing tonight. You're going to have to be incredibly skilled, good on the heel toe, and definitely keep your eyes where you want to go and not where you're going.
That's some great advice. Hopefully the field was listening, because we're about to see how this all pans out here. It looks like we'll be going green in about a little more than 5 minutes. Rick Sistone of RECARO Automotive. Rick, thank you so much for being a part of our broadcast tonight. And more importantly, thank you so much for all that you do with your products, your services, and especially for the military community. I think I speak on behalf of everybody. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, I certainly appreciate this relationship and being here tonight. And I just want to wish all the racers good luck. And go get them.
Thanks a lot, Rick. We really appreciate it. Again, Rick Sistone of RECARO Automotive. And as you heard him earlier, make sure you check out the website for more information on the products and services that RECARO has to offer. Wow, learned a lot there. Had no idea RECARO's been doing this for over 100 years now. Just fascinating, and we appreciate their involvement with this series oh so much. And as Rick helped us lead into, we've got an incredible race to get to turn our attention to here tonight. And JP Costa, he kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. This racetrack is something that offers up a number of unique and twists and turns, 2.25 miles, a lot of passing zones, a lot of elevation change. We got a lot to look forward to here throughout these 13 corners.
Yeah, exactly. Drivers are going to be facing a lot of challenges as they head into this 2.25 mile, 3.6 kilometer racetrack. Obviously, they're going to be starting on the main straight at turn 1 as they're going to be turning left, pretty much a 90-degree corner, but extremely fast essentially, as they're going to be going to a mini straight up until the keyhole, turn number 2, pretty much a hairpin as they head down to an absolutely massive straight. I guess this is going to be the most important, I guess the most used overtaking opportunity as they're going to go down to a heavy braking zone at China Beach, going up the hill through turn 5 and then down the hill again, turn 6, up and down through the S's of 7, 8, and 9, and then a small straight as they connect 10 and 11, and then for a small hairpin at the carousel as they're going to be finishing the lap and just going over and over and over for 1 hour. It's going to be an absolute challenge to not make a single mistake on this absolute roller coaster of a ride.
Had the opportunity to be out there last year for F4 and FR competition. Surprised to learn that back straight away, 3,000 feet. That's enough to try to make a move into that China Beach corner. We're going to see that a lot tonight. As far as how things look coming into this second to last race of the season, here's a look at the championship points across all 3 classes. And the storylines differ through each and every class. We mentioned in the lead-in, we've had 6 different winners in 7 races for the pros. Only driver to have more than 1 victory is Brandon Egerchek, who sits atop the points lead there with 2 wins on the season so far. Shane Hunter not far behind, tied with Tyler Langenberg, who has yet to crack victory lane for the pros. For the beneficiaries, it's Hunter Reeves been on fire, but Theo Bruselna has been right there with him. That's why, despite the 4-win difference, Bruselna still has a good shot at the championship point lead there, 20 back. And John Winker's been very strong there as well, 3rd in points. And with the Opens, Chris Bailey, who 2 of those 4 wins actually encompassed overall victories as well. He sits atop for the Open standings ahead of Sean Knight, who has a win under his belt, and Rodney Campbell, who's trying to rebound from a spectacular incident that took place 1 week ago. So that's how the stage is set here for tonight's event as we are inching closer to the end of qualifying. We're going to step aside momentarily. When we come back, we'll give you the starting lineup for round number 7 of Operation eMotorsports in their 2021 winter campaign next.
So I fueled the number 19 car for DXDT Racing, CrowdStrike, AWS, our sponsors, this weekend. It's kind of awesome. You know, fueling a car during a race requires, you know, full race suit or full fire suit, full Nomex, underwear, long johns. It's pretty hot in there. It's not too dissimilar than things that you do in the Army, especially. There is a ton of safety with it. You know, race fuel is somewhere between 100 and 110 octane. And if it hits the side exhaust on one of these Mercedes GT3s, it's an instant fire. So it's kind of a big deal. You going over the wall is also a big deal. I mean, that's a kind of rite of passage working a crew. And when you get a chance to go over the wall and you do it right, you nail it the first time, it's always a big deal. I guess as coming to a new team, you know, DXDT's been a partner with Operation Motorsport now for 2 seasons, but stepping up to their GT3 program is a big deal, and they've taken care of me. Getting into a team that is like, hey, don't care where you came from, don't care how you got here, you're here, you're gonna work, and you're gonna work hard. That's really that's what this whole program is about. So this has been a great weekend here at Sonoma, California. The weather's bore with us mostly, and we're gonna enjoy the decently warm weather for early March, and have another great race too today.
Welcome back to the virtual Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where qualifying has just wrapped up and we are getting set for the second to last race of this winter season for Operation eMotorsports presented by RECARO, and we are about to see who will be able to capture top honors across all 3 of our respective classes. We told the story earlier, multiple winners throughout the field. For the pros, it seems as though we got a new winner every week. For the beneficiaries, we've had one driver dominate. For the Open, it's been about hit or miss. It seems like half the races have gone in one particular direction. Let's see how they're going to come down for the green. Chris Walsh, who's a voice you've heard on the broadcast before, on pole here tonight, and the highest qualifier of the pros, obviously, with that P1 shot. Outside, it's going to be Christopher Bailey, the Open competitor, looking to rebound after some bad luck at Sonoma 1 week ago. He'll start second. Take you back down to row number 2. We're on the inside, in the 3rd spot is where you're going to find Trevor Hill with a great qualifying run as an Open driver. Outside, Travis Hill, one of the pros, in car number 41 in 4th. 5th starting positions where you'll find Dustin Burkhalter, the winner from the overall and for the pro category 1 week ago, in 5th. Outside, Theo Selma, the highest qualifying beneficiary here tonight. Car 24 will start in 6th. Back now to the inside of row number 4 is where you are going to find a driver who is the points leader for the pros, and Brandon Egerchek starting inside in that 7th spot. Outside, the point leader for the beneficiaries in Hunter Reeve, starting on the outside of row number 4 in 8th. And rounding out our top 10, Tyler Langenberg, who's top 3 in points for the pro drivers at car 91. Outside is going to be Charlie Bass, another pro winner on the season, rounding out your top 10.
Starting off in P11, we do have David Levine, the pro driver, and right alongside him, Rodney Campbell in 12th place on the number 62 car. In P13, we do have the pro driver of Paul Lindsay in the number 70, and Shane Hunter, another pro driver in the 927 on 14th spot on the outside lane. In P15, starting off our row number 8, we do have Thomas Zeltsen as the Open driver, and the number 85 of Justin Jarrett on 16th place. On row number 9, we do have Rick Hazlitt as an Open driver, and in 18th place we do have John Winker on the number 7. Finish off in row number 10, we do have Jay Gleason as an Open driver. In 20th place we do have Callum Bell, and it looks like they're going to be going to the green flag. I'm going to pass it off to Eric.
There we go, we're underway. Second to last race of the season for Operation eMotorsport. Here they come in turn number 1, battling for the lead.
Looks like Chris Walsh maintains his lead as Christopher Bailey tried to put up a challenge in turn 1. Looks like that didn't happen. Looks like something happened on the second half of the grid, because we do have a big gap. We're going to be getting a replay of that later on, as we do still have a first lap battle. Looks like everybody makes it through on the top 6 at least, but Chris Walsh maintains his championship lead right now.
And it looks as though we had a problem on the start. Paul Lindsay, one of the pros, and Thomas Outson has spun on the exit of what looks like the keyhole as they came through turn number 2. That is your open winner from 1 week ago. Outson of the BMW facing backwards, looking for an opportunity to fall in line. And Outson, who did not have the best of qualifying efforts for tonight's race, was involved in an opening lap incident through turn 2. Let's go back and see how it unfolded.
Yeah, looks like we do already have a big of a gap. As you can see, Thomas Outson is all in his zone, looks like, as he heads down into turn 2, heavy braking zone. He just overshoots it and unfortunately just dips a wheel onto the grass, and that was enough to make the BMW spin. It's kind of unfortunate, just a small, silly mistake.
They see Outson there roll back out of harm's way. He will rejoin the field. Fortunately for him, that incident happening on lap 1, no major damage. And it looks as though he's going to have an opportunity to try to regroup. Oh, look, what's this? Problems for Charlie Bass, another one of the pro drivers with some trouble here. And he's going to have to get a tow back to the pit area. Bass, who was the winner at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the pros just 2 rounds ago, now he finds problems on the opening lap. Boy, everybody's starting to be playing with some bad luck here. We heard our RECARO representative a little bit earlier as we try to see what happened here to Charlie Bass. But it looked as though, let's see here, this is coming down the hill. This is in the China Beach section of the track, and he just rolled off the racetrack. Not sure if that might have been equipment failure or what, but that was a bizarre incident there for Charlie Bass. And as Rick Sistone said, this track could catch you off guard, and it already has. Bass is out of it. A couple of other competitors like Kurt Gudenkauf out of it. Paul Lindsay involved in an opening lap incident. And now we're looking here at Dustin Burkhalter. And here's Bass again, who was slow. This is the opening lap incident that took place on the front straightaway, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like he was already slow. I'm not pretty sure if he had any suspension damage, because as soon as he got beached on the grass, he just couldn't get the car moving. So might have been some previous, as you can see now, the replay of the start. Charlie Bass, as you can see there on the BMW, just looks like, he just lost it on his zone and, collects 2 cars. And look, yeah, it looks like a bit of suspension damage on the left front tire. That's Paul Lindsay, unfortunately, got collected as a small mistake, unusual mistake we're seeing from drivers on the first few laps.
Yeah, it looked as though that was Tyler Langenberg who took evasive action and went off to the grass there on driver's right on the front straightaway. Just an incredibly wild start here. Here, let's take a look at Paul Lindsay from high above, because he's the one who got speared after Bass got the right sides in the grass. Bang! Clipped and ripped the right rear off of Paul Lindsay's car before he even got to the start-finish line. That's the most unfortunate of events. And how about that? We mentioned that Charlie Bass, how he was the winner out at Canadian Tire 2 races ago. Paul Lindsay was the winner at the other Canadian round at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So 2 of our winners on the season taken out in an incident here before they even got to the green flag. But so far, no such luck for that of Chris Walsh, who continues to lead this field.
Yeah, Chris Walsh coming back with a bang, obviously getting pole, and right now leading over 1.2 seconds, as they're pretty sure they're on the 3rd lap already. And, well, just showing, I guess, the class that we kind of missed from him on the past few weeks, just coming back strong. Obviously, Christopher Bailey as well, with an impressive showing in P2, and Travis Hill in the 3rd place. As you can see now, a big battle between we're not going to risk saying Hill brothers, but the Hill class as an open and pro driver, as they both keep battling over P3.
Yeah, wondering if that's a bit of irony or, in fact, coincidence between those two, that they're ironically numbered up 41 and 42. And Langenberg, another pro driver, this one top 3 in points, having a problem. That looks like on the run down to, let's see here on the track map, that looks like it is up towards the latter stages of the racing venue, perhaps out at the end of Thunder Valley before they come through the carousel. Langenberg, who went all 4 off to avoid the lap 1 crash, and that's a big hit as they come down the hill at Thunder Valley.
Yeah, looks like he just got lost on the exit, just dipped a wheel on the grass, and that was enough to make the car spin, as we're probably going to see another angle right now. But yeah, looks like just carry a bit too much speed of the exit of the corner, as now we're going to see. Just looks like it's all settled. That looks like, yeah, that looks like the entry of Thunder Valley, and just carries a bit too much speed as he heads into turn 10, I'm pretty sure. Down the hill. Oh no, he got lost on the crest. So I guess just the momentum and just the weight shift of the car was enough to spin that BMW around.
Boy, so it has been an attrition-filled, even though not all drivers are out of the event per se, but as far as incidents, there's been a lot of them. Fortunately, none of which have plagued that of Chris Walsh, as he has a bit of a bobble at the same point where Langenberg had his off a couple laps ago. Now we're looking at Shane Hunter, and he has cracked the top 10 here. Been able to stay out of trouble for the most part, at least for the time being in this BMW, but Hunter is currently running back in 10th, and we understand that he did get off track a little bit, albeit momentarily, but he's able to salvage his run for the time being up into the top 10, as we are only, believe it or not, 7 minutes into this race. Now, there was an update to the iRacing platform today, and upon some research and development, they actually had to uptick the amount of fuel that these cars have from 40% to 50% to try to ensure that this race will only come down to one necessary stop on the pit lane. So that is something we're going to be talking about and touching on a little bit later on, is pit strategy. But right now, we got some great racing going on throughout the pack, as last week's winner at Burkhalter tries to get up and around Hill for the 4th spot.
It looks like he couldn't get it done on the outside of turn 2, but looks like he might have the momentum, and he could dive down the inside of turn 3. Looks like that's not going to be the case early in the race, only 7 minutes in, as he's thinking about it, but Hill is not giving him any space on the inside, just sticking to his line, and the 41 retains his 4th place spot at the moment, but looks like Theo Brosema might be catching them, so Dusty Burkhalter might be wanting to get position soon enough, as we do have the beneficiary battle right behind him as well.
Yeah, and Brosema right now trying to join Hunter Reeve, the point leader, as somebody who can get up there and mix it up for a podium spot in competition. And Reeve is also trying to navigate his way up through the pack after qualifying back in 8th. As you can see, he's already gained 1 spot. Brosema runs a little bit wide there to the left-hander as they set up for the carousel here, the right-handed corner that leads you up towards the final turn up onto the main straightaway. But Brosema and Hunter Reeve, a pair of the beneficiaries in the field here tonight, battling for top running positions, while Hunter Reeve is trying to protect the championship point lead. This is a great race that we got going on here for 1st in class and 7th on the overall standings.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Theo needs essentially this position, needs his class win at this moment, because obviously, as we said, he's, I'm pretty sure, 24 points behind Hunter Reeve at this moment in time. So, you know, any points that he can take off Hunter at this moment will be essential for next week's race at Sebring, and well, he just has to hold his own and just soak in all the pressure that Hunter is trying to put him and not make any mistakes, and he can probably keep that 6th position for the moment.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch the progression of Hunter Reeve. Oh, Brosema there runs a little bit wide as they came through the corner. Thought Reeve was going to have a chance to pounce, and not far behind these two is the Pro Championship point leader and Brandon Egerchek trying to close in. And we mentioned Egerchek is the only multi-time winner in the pro ranks for this 2021 Winter Series season for Operation eMotorsport, but hard to believe that came in the first 2 races of the season, back at Daytona and Road America to kick off rounds 1 and 2. So it's been a while since Egerchek has tasted victory, as Outson has another problem. Ironically, again, it's in the keyhole for last week's Open winner, and now it looks as though Langenberg has had an off. This is a big one, though, way out to the barrier, and Langenberg has his 2nd major incident of the day, and this one's going to kick him down the running order. He's fallen to 14th, may fall back even further.
Looks like this track is catching a lot of drivers out on the elevation changes on the blind corners. Unfortunately, some drivers are making mistakes. As you can see, I'm pretty sure this is turn 4 as he's heading right now. The long left-hander as he just goes down the hill into turn 5. Now, does he catch a bit of the curve? No, looks like it's all settled and done as he heads into turn 6 and 7. And oh, and he over the crest again. Just looks like the BMW is susceptible to making those kind of, I guess, not liking those elevation changes and over those crests, just getting the car loose.
Yeah, as I mentioned prior, I had the opportunity to go out to this racetrack 1 year ago, not far, about a few months from now. It'll be 1 year exactly. And sometimes when watching perhaps an IndyCar race or a Sports Car Club of America race, or even when the now NASCAR Xfinity Series would come to town, the cameras just don't seem to do the justice as far as how significant those elevation changes are. And for these type of sports cars that we're utilizing here with Operation eMotorsport, it really could throw the balance of the car off depending on when they're getting back to the power or when they're getting on the binders. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of drivers have some trouble here tonight. No such trouble, though, for Chris Walsh or for Christopher Bailey, who currently leads in the open category for the time being. Then we got Hill just behind, another one of the open drivers, currently rounding out your podium. And as you mentioned, there's a couple of Hills in the field. That's Trevor Hill, who is running in third, while Travis Hill is back at fourth. Dustin Burkhalter, your top five, while Bailey tries to close up the 3.3-second gap to the overall leader.
Yeah, those two are just on a class of their own. Christopher Walsh, 3.3 seconds, as you mentioned, ahead of Chris Bailey, who is nearly over 7 seconds ahead of Hill in third place. So these two drivers are just going at it. You know, they're just pushing to the absolute limit and not making any mistakes, which is essential on a track like this. But behind them, the battle is still heating up. Essentially, we have third place and all the way down to ninth, separated by less than 5 seconds. So the battle is definitely going to be on. That's going to be one to watch for later on in the race, seeing if any of those drivers make mistakes following each other.
And what we could point out to all of our viewers here with multi-class racing, the obvious distinguishing item is, if you notice, the P to the right of the driver's name. They're in the pro rankings. The O, obviously, the open rankings. The B for the beneficiaries. But also, if you take a look at the numbers and also some of the elements on the front and back of these cars, the blue identifies as the pro drivers. The red is the open competitors. And the green-colored backgrounds will signify the beneficiaries as well. So a couple of ways that you could identify without the assistance of the timing and scoring pylon as to who's in what class. But if you ask all of these competitors, they pay quite a significant amount of attention, not only to who's best in class, but also those overall rankings. And judging by our conversation with Hunter Reeve 1 week ago, that podium finish meant so much to him, even though he's racked up a number of class victories. Being able to finish top three in the conglomerate of racers that we have here, it really meant a lot to him, as Burkhalter has a peak down low this time on Hill to try to move up in the fourth. That's going to kick Hill up off the bottom. This is a great four-car battle that's made up of a couple of pros and a couple of beneficiaries. Down this 3,000-foot back straightaway they go.
Yeah, looks like the beneficiaries want to get a piece of the action out of the pro drivers. We saw that last week happening with Hunter Reeve. We're seeing it again with Theo, just putting pressure on Dustin and just trying to force him into a mistake, as Dustin now absolutely riding the curb, trying to get every single tenth of a second out of his lap as he's trying to chase Hill, but still cannot find a way past. This track only has, I'd say, only 3 overtaking opportunities if you don't count mistakes. So it's extremely difficult to line yourself up for a move, as you can see now, just getting closer and closer, but on the wrong part of the circuit. So hopefully he can line himself up and maybe make a move on the next few laps.
And JP, I want to elaborate on something you just said there. Closer and closer on the wrong part of the circuit. That matters because passing zones here are, in fact, at a premium. Some sectors of this course, like where they were coming through there out of the exit of the S's and down Thunder Valley, not really the best premier passing spot. So being on the back bumper may only negatively impact you once you get back to the power. You want to be close when you approach the turn that they're coming up to here in just a little bit, the keyhole. They come out of the exit of turn number 1. You see there Burkhalter trying to get the power down. A big slide behind by Broselma. Looks like he's going to save the car, but Hunter Reeve is going to take the beneficiary lead there. And Broselma may fall back into the clutches of Egerchek there, perhaps in danger of losing another spot as he's fallen to 7th.
Looks like an unusual mistake out of turn 2 for Theo. Not something we're used to seeing from him, but unfortunately for him, obviously, not only the mistake in losing, I guess, the slipstream for Dustin Burkhalter is allowing his championship rival Hunter Reeve to get past, and now he has to climb another mountain to try and get close to Hunter again, and trying to mount a move. Looks like he's already back on his feet, just hitting every single apex. It looks like now Hunter is going to be under pressure to try to perform and not make a mistake.
And so far, this night is beginning to unfold a little bit, similar to how it did for Hunter Reeve last week. Remember the fact that Reeve was able to keep himself up in a contention throughout the night, kept his nose clean, was running in the proper formation, and he was able to show the skill of pace, further climbing up the running order. As we mentioned, Hunter Reeve, a former sergeant in the U.S. Army, served from 2011 to 2017 before being medically discharged, and he is somebody who has been a lifelong fan of motorsports, and he has been able to uptick the competition so far in this Operation eMotorsports campaign, and he is currently leading for the beneficiaries once again. We're going to step aside right after a quick word from Cody Reneker.
I found out about Operation Motorsports through the program I'm in with the military. They're helping me transition into the civilian life, and this was a great way for me to take my passion and see what it's like on the high performance side. I'm here to pick up what I can learn from them so that I can use it with my future career as being an automotive mechanic. This is a great experience whether you're just a at-home kind of person working on your car, changing oils or stuff like that, or wanting to go into the high performance side. I'm loving how the team's taking me in and really showing me everything. It'll show you just about everything you need to know from the driver standpoint to the tire changing.
Welcome back here in Mid-Ohio, and as you saw when we were playing that message from Cody Reneker, a problem for one of our top 4 in this race, Travis Hill, having it off there, and also checked up Dustin Burkhalter. And what were we talking about as we went to the break? Hunter Reeve took full advantage of that one. He's up to 4th. Let's go back and see what happened here to the driver, one of the pros in the field, Travis Hill, by himself at the end of this back straightaway, JP, and around he goes.
Yeah, looks like a small mistake catching everybody out this racetrack. Unfortunately for Travis, he was running in such a good position, but I guess the pressure just got to him. We're seeing that, having a driver following you lap after lap just eventually can get you, and unfortunately for Travis, it caught him at the wrong time, and unfortunately he lost all those places and now has to fight all the way back to try and hopefully salvage a good point position. But I'm sure with his pace, he can climb a few positions back.
Yeah, we saw there Burkhalter closed up rather quickly at the time in which Hill had his go-around, so perhaps those two were coming a little bit closer together than what they would have liked. But Burkhalter, though, got way out of the gas and allowed an opportunity for Hill to perhaps save the car. But after going around backwards here, it was a problem for Hill, and it's kicked him down the running order. And as we saw the last time through in our live action, that Hunter Reeve was able to take full advantage of that one, blasted his way by them both, and he was able to move up into the 4th spot. So Walsh, Bailey, and Trevor Hill are your podium, with your highest running beneficiary driver in Hunter Reeve in 4th, Roselma 5th, Burkhalter back to 6th, Egerchek with a quiet, methodical move up through the running order to 7th, Hill back into the 8th spot, David Levine in 9th, and Shane Hunter, your top 10 as we come through the final turn here to put another lap on the board, approaching the 1/3 distance mark in round 7, the 2021 winter edition of Operation eMotorsport, presented by RECARO Automotive.
I was just gonna mention, looks like by the timing sheets, Christopher Bailey also made a small mistake somewhere on the racetrack because he lost all the contact that he had with Chris Walsh at the beginning of the race, and looks like he's already down 14 seconds from Chris Walsh, and looks like he might be coming under pressure from Hill in a few moments time. As you can see now, they're both on the same shot, and well, an unusual mistake from Christopher Bailey as well. Looks like the track is not taking any prisoners and is catching everybody out.
Yeah, and if we think back to some of the action that took place at Sonoma 1 week ago, Christopher Bailey thought that he may have had one of the more dominant cars, as Thomas Outson may have had another problem here as his night continues to unravel from the Open winner from the aforementioned Sonoma event. But fellow Open competitor in Bailey, we saw him make a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes towards the end of Sonoma that took him out of contention, caused some serious damage to that car. And it appears as though as time runs on here, Trevor Hill is starting to reel him in for what is not only second in the overall, but for the lead in the Open category. So this is starting to tighten up here as far as battling for position. You have a pro driver clear of the field by 14 seconds in Chris Walsh, Bailey and Hill covered by less than 2 seconds. Make that less than a second here as a big bobble there by Hill off of turn 2. And Hunter Reeve and Theo Broselma, they're separated by 2 seconds themselves for the lead in the beneficiary rankings. We've got close battles for class leads all throughout this field, and we still got 40 minutes to go to settle it.
Yeah, after everything that happened, looks like everybody still wants to, I guess, dance in pairs. Looks like we do have a pair of open drivers, beneficiary drivers, and pro drivers. And it looks like not a single position is settled for the moment, because it looks like everybody's making small mistakes. Is that that's Theo? I'm pretty sure he's lapping a BMW. Yes, he is. But looks like he might be coming under pressure from Dustin on the next few laps. Dustin, as you said, unfortunately had to check out after the incident with Travis Hill, and unfortunately for him, he lost a few places, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be eager to get them back. If he forced one driver into a mistake, he might be confident he can force another, but hopefully this time he won't be needing to check up.
Yeah, and also we have to give a little bit of accolades there, because I'm pretty sure that would have been relatively easy for Burkhalter to just come buffaloing his way there into the smoke, and that could have been very bad for both Trevor Hill and Burkhalter, obviously. Now trying to methodically work his way back further forward. If he looks up in the rearview mirror, he'll see fellow pro competitor and Brandon Egerchek starting to close rather quickly. He's trying to turn up the heat here on Theo Broselma for the 5th spot in the overall standings. And you see the difference in line here as Burkhalter takes a very tight apex for Broselma. It was a rather late apex there through the second to last corner on this racetrack at turn 13. And onto the main straightaway, Burkhalter applying the pressure. And this is a great learning opportunity for Theo Broselma here. He's got the pressure from behind from Burkhalter. He's obviously going to be looking up in the mirror quite often here, even though he's got Hunter Reeve out the windshield. This is a chance for him to kind of pick up on where exactly he may be losing out a little bit of time on as far as braking zones and getting back to the point of acceleration. And if Burkhalter is able to get around, he can utilize that as a learning experience as well as this battle rages up the back straightaway with Egerchek starting to close. Ooh, look out there. Burkhalter got the right side tires in the grass while trying to follow with the slipstream.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like he's just falling a bit too close, unfortunately losing a few of the, I guess, the eye contact he has with the track. But it's something that we saw yesterday on the racetrack. You know, sometimes you could let the driver behind you that is faster overtake you in order to actually use him to reel in your opponent ahead of you. So Theo could be thinking about the long game, you know, allowing Dustin, that is, looks like he is faster at the moment, just to let him by, you know, ease off some of that pressure that he's receiving at the moment, and just use that to trying to catch Hunter Reeve ahead of him and trying to force Hunter into a mistake. You know, something that could be done, but looks like Theo right now is closing in as Hunter is making a few unusual mistakes on his own as the pressure looks like it's starting to settle in.
And you see there as Theo runs a little bit wide, Burkhalter's going to try to hug the bottom of the racetrack off to the exit of the carousel and back to the start-finish line. And these two are keeping close proximity here with Hunter Reeve, who holds down the 4th spot, just a couple of cars ahead of that of Burkhalter. Now, as they come out of the exit at turn number 1, let's take this opportunity, as we're 7 minutes shy of halfway, to thank a couple of partners with Operation eMotorsport. And obviously, earlier we were privileged to have the opportunity to talk to RECARO Automotive's Rick Sistone and his involvement with not only RECARO, but the series, as well as multiple veteran organizations and groups as well. Again, for more information, you have to check out RECARO's website. But RECARO Automotive puts people first every time. We heard numerous examples as to how and why, but whether it is on the track or iRacing, RECARO Automotive is all about making driving safer, more comfortable, and more controlled for a driving experience that you could really feel. Again, RECARO Automotive, longtime partner with that of Operation Motorsport and this Operation eMotorsport series. Also, we want to offer our thanks to Mobil 1. Now, since day one, Mobil 1's advanced synthetic motor oil has been part of every Corvette racing win, and that tradition continues with the new mid-engine Corvette C8R. Today, Mobil 1 Racing and the OW50 protects the next generation of America's sports car on the track, while Mobil 1 Advanced Synthetic is still found under the hood of every Corvette on the track. Unfortunately there for Theo Broselma, he had a bit of an incident there coming through Thunder Valley. But no matter where the hood of your Corvette is located, it has always been Mobil 1 from day one. A reminder that Mobil 1 is the world's leading synthetic motor oil brand, and the Corvette Racing C8R is now available in iRacing for anyone who's looking to experience that exhilarating mid-engine performance of the C8R in the virtual world. Mobile One, proud partner of Operation eMotorsport and Operation Motorsport. And just as we were looking there, Bruselma, who is in contention for the beneficiary lead, was keeping pace with not only Hunter Reed, but also Dustin Burkhalter, the pro winner from a week ago. He had some problems there, JP.
Yeah, looks like the pressure just, looks like it just caught a bit too much of the grass. Unfortunately, that was enough to spin the Porsche. Could be the pressure just settling in on, obviously, Dustin, as you can see now, great act of sportsmanship, allowing everybody to get past, just rejoining safely on the racetrack. And, you know, that just shows, you know, even though he's fighting for a championship, lost a lot of time spinning around, he just, you know, still feels the need to stop and let everybody through. That's a great act of sportsmanship. Now, as you can see, heading down a hill into turn 4, into turn 5, looks like he's just going to be carrying a bit too much speed. Looks like he misses a bit of the apex. No, that's not on turn 5. Looks like turn 6 now, heading to turn 7. Yeah, unfortunately, he misses the apex downhill and just catches a bit of the grass, and unfortunately that was enough to spin the Porsche. Luckily for him, no damage done. Looks like he didn't hit the barrier, and well, luckily for him, he can carry on without even thinking about making an early pit stop.
Yeah, that's a great point, JP. The perpendicular slide on the pavement by Bruselma really helped slow that car enough to where it did not get into the barrier too hard. We were on board there momentarily with Justin Jarrett. Now we're looking at Theo Bruselma here as he has now fallen back into the 10th spot. Still running P2, though, out of the beneficiaries as Hunter Reed is way up the road, currently running in 4th. We did see Justin Jarrett there momentarily. Want to give Justin Jarrett a shout out because he is currently 3rd in the beneficiary class, and oftentimes we like to try to highlight some of the beneficiaries that are in the field. And as you see, from Pennsylvania is the driver of the Porsche here tonight. Born and raised in Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania, and Justin Jarrett served the U.S. Army from 2010 till 2015 as an information technology specialist. Some of the highlights in his service included Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan from 2011 to 2012. And Jarrett is, again, one of the beneficiaries in this field, currently running 3rd in class. And according to Justin Jarrett, this series in Operation Motorsport provides the chance for him to explain his racing portfolio. He loves the fact that Operation Motorsport, like his old days at TDR, has a sense of family, helping newer drivers learn road racing. And this environment allows for competing with all levels of sim drivers, you see here in multi-class competition, to bring out the desire to be better. He also says that Operation Motorsport provides a therapeutic experience by allowing motorsports to address the challenges that many veterans connect with, including such circumstances as PTSD. And that's a great point by Justin Jarrett. We thank him for acknowledging that and also for being here and competing in this series and all those who make that possible. As we mentioned, Jarrett 3rd in the running order for the beneficiaries, 12th in the overall. And we drop back here to Mr. Campbell, who's running in the 14th spot in what is a very tightly contested battle outside the top 10. We've got a number of cars coming down the hill here to Thunder Valley as the heavy racing continues all throughout the field as we approach halfway.
Yeah, looks like Campbell is kind of leading the small train of cars that he has behind him. It looks like every single one is a BMW, apart from a Porsche. He's kind of looking on the inside, forces the other BMW. I'm not pretty sure who that is. Looks like that's Tim Bernard onto a mistake, as now we do have a few different drivers taking a few different lines out of turn 12. Is they're now going to head into turn 13. And on the start-finish straight, as you can see, everybody's also close. It looks like Jake Gleason is going to be looking, Jake Gleason is going to be looking on the inside of Tim Bernard. Is he going to make the move stick on turn 1? Looks like he had the nose in. Now, yes, he does. So it looks like we do have a change for position. As he now is going to have is he going to make a double move? Now he's going to be looking on the outside of turn 2, and looks like he just outsprayed. Oh, looks like that was a lapped car. Yeah, looks like it is. No, the number 69. He was just fighting for position, and oh, they make contact, just washed out a bit too wide on turn 2, and unfortunately takes Tim Bernard out as well. As you can see now, Tim Bernard is on the inside line. Unfortunately, it looks like he got compromised on the exit at turn 1, as he now is forced onto the apex. Looks like, Tim Bernard, sorry, is the outside car, and unfortunately, he just got tagged. It had absolutely nothing to do with him. And unfortunately, the number 69 BMW, unfortunately, looks like he had some sort of damage, because he just washed a bit too wide, and Rick Hazlitt, that's the car, and I'm not pretty sure what happened. I cannot really tell. Maybe some damage out of turn 1. Looks like he was slow enough, and well, that's kind of unfortunate for both drivers.
Yeah, Bernard there, an absolute innocent bystander in that incident outside of the keyhole, which I'm not. Oh, we got another car off there as they came around through that sector of the racetrack. And the first downhill bit that leads up to the end of the back straightaway. Used to calling that the first corner, because typically a lot of series end up starting on that back straightaway, and turn 4 ends up being their first turn, and that's where we saw some trouble there. John Winker, third of the beneficiary points coming to the pit lane here. Not sure if this may be a scheduled stop by Winker or if he's pitting to get some repairs made, but let's drop back here and take a look at Trevor Hill, who is starting to close up here on Christopher Bailey for the lead in the open class and second on the overall, all going on 18 seconds behind Chris Walsh, the leader.
Yeah, Chris Walsh is on a class of his own, and unfortunately, due to that small mistake that Bailey had in the beginning of the race, he just fell behind to the arms, essentially, of Hill, and unfortunately for him, he cannot seem to get away from Hill at this moment in time, and Hill is just thanking him, you know, just having a shot at a potential class win for the open class, and obviously a P2 finishing the overall podium, that would be ideal for him, as they're still battling, you know, even after I'd say 20 minutes of just following each other. Hill obviously could be just saving fuel, just saving himself for the pit stops, but I'm sure Christopher Bailey is trying to push his maximum to try and get away from Hill and try to ruin the possible strategy that we might be seeing in relation to fuel saving.
So while Chris Walsh is dominating this race so far, we passed the halfway point of this round 7 of the 2021 Winter League for Operation eMotorsport. There's your overall leader and leader for the pros. We got a battle brewing for the opens. We've got Hunter Reeve out in front for the beneficiaries, but pit stops are upcoming. We're going to step aside momentarily. You will not miss a minute of the action. We'll be back after this quick word from Katrina Williams.
Operation Motorstarts helped me get me away from home, I guess you can say. I'm at home doing nothing because of my medical stuff. Besides the basic brake changing, oil changing, tire rotation. I've actually learned how to assemble and disassemble some engine parts, change some axles, you know, do some alignments and stuff. So give it a try. You never know. This was nothing that I expected. I did not expect to be fully suited, jumping over a wall while cars are going 100 and something miles an hour. It's more than working on cars. For one, you're building friendships, you know, you're meeting new people. And if working on cars is not your thing, Operation Motorsports has other things that you can do. Something, it's not just, oh, I'm going to go out there and turn a wrench on a wheel.
Back here at Mid-Ohio, and as you can see, pit stops have begun. The point leader for the pros in Brandon Egerchek looks as though he's going to try to take the undercut strategy, as we are just freshly into the second half of this race with about 27 minutes plus to go here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and Egerchek is one of the first of the front runners to duck onto the pit lane for service, and we'll see how that impacts him on the timing and scoring charts. Fellow pro competitor Chris Walsh continues to lead the field. He's extended the margin now to 19 seconds after what has been an absolute dominating performance here for Walsh as he seeks his second pro win of the season. Walsh now out in front of a two-car battle that is taking shape for the open victory. Second on the overall between Christopher Haley as well as car number 42, one of two Hills in the field. That one, though, driven by Trevor Hill. And, oh, look at this. That's a close call. Wow. Walsh had to really get on the brakes there to avoid that car that was coming back out onto the racetrack, and that was John Fix.
Now, looks like John Fix made another mistake out of turn 4, or in the entry of turn 4. Luckily for him, no damage done, but that, I'm pretty sure, got the heart beating of Chris Walsh. I'm sure seeing a BMW spinning essentially in front of you is not really essential what you want to see, I guess, when you're leading. But this battle for second place still very much on fire. And I guess one point that you kind of touched, Derek, on the beginning of the broadcast is we did have the new season drop, the new updates. We're not really sure if it affected, we're sure that it affected the fuel consumption on these cars, because the race director pretty much had to increase the initial fuel to 50%. But could it be changing the fuel from car to car? Obviously, we only have the Porsche and the BMW. Could the BMW be the thirstier car, essentially on a race and forcing those drivers to pit early? That could be a question that only will be answered on the next few weeks as we kind of learn the car again. As it looks like both drivers, Christopher Bailey and Hill, are heading to pit road.
That's a great point there, JP. And, we mentioned these drivers as we watch Bailey and Trevor Hill come onto the pit lane. And also, it looks as though Chris Walsh is elected to come down for service. Probably going to need a new fire suit as well after that scare there with the lap car of John Fix. But you bring up a great point. Although these drivers, as Walsh is going to break out here, in fact, he's still, with the pit stop, going to remain out in front of his closest competitor in Dustin Burkhalter for the pro lead. Burkhalter is yet to make his stop. But even though these drivers have practiced diligently for this event, the new build came out just earlier today. So with these particular fuel numbers and whatever other adjustments and changes that were made across the platform, they really don't have a lot of time on their hands to kind of figure that out. Fuel mileage is one of those variables. And unfortunately, a couple of drivers noticed it leading into the race. Usually they run at a 40% fill. And as you can see, we're only 6 minutes, less than 6 minutes into the second half of this race. If they had kept the fuel number the same, I'm not sure everybody would have been able to make it on a one-stop strategy. So it's kind of a variable that we're going to have to see how it plays out, not only for this race, but also for next week's 2-hour event at Sebring. As you see here, Walsh back on the racetrack after his service. Burkhalter in the rearview mirror, but he is still yet to come down the pit lane here as we are right smack dab in the middle of these pit stops.
I guess that exit of the pit lane just showed the level of dominance that Chris Walsh has been showing for tonight's race. Just coming down a pit road, essentially filling up the car with gas and still coming back 1.7 seconds ahead of Dustin Burkhalter. Just shows the level of pace essentially that he has, but Dustin still electing to keep himself out on the racetrack 2 laps later. Looks like he did some good fuel mileage. Looks like he saved a bit of fuel on his tent and he still keeps going. Hunter Reeve looks like he's still following him, so we might have seen the top 3 essentially what we saw before, just reacting to Chris Walsh's pit stop. Now didn't look like it was a planned stop as everybody still keeps himself out of the racetrack. It looks like David Levine now, just as I say, comes down on pit road in his BMW.
Yeah, and we see as far as drivers who have made their stops already, Walsh cycled out to the lead on track. Bailey and Hill still remain separated by about 2 seconds. We're still expecting Burkhalter, Reeve, and Hunter to hit the pit lane here as we have about 23 minutes to go. And JP, as somebody who does not have the opportunity to spend too much time here on the sim, we're noticing now about a 6, soon to be 7-minute difference between some of the cars that have pitted already and some that remain on track. With that in mind, though, I mean, does that allow, as we got one driver, one of the beneficiaries off, that's Caleb Belden, does staying out a little bit longer allow these drivers a chance to maybe shorten up the fuel load and make up some time that way?
Well, essentially the fuel load they're going to be putting in the car is going to be the same. As once the pit stop window opens, you're just going to be putting the same amount of fuel. Unless you obviously, if you save or if you just, I guess the car just drinks more as you're pushing. But obviously some drivers, as Chris Walsh, for example, he might have came down on pit road earlier to avoid traffic in front of him. And looks like Travis Hill and Chris Bailey just reacted to his stop. But, essentially you just want to be running the car as light as possible, just leaving it to the absolute final lap. It looks like Dustin Burkhalter may have come down on pit road, as Hunter Reeve looks like he's still out on the racetrack. But essentially you're just going to want it to be going as light as possible on the absolutely edge of running out of fuel, so the car can be as close to qualifying pace and obviously as fast as possible. And it looks like Dustin just did that, and Hunter Reeve looks like he still has at least 1 lap of fuel, as it looks like we do have Theo Brosema as well on pit road.
Yeah, Brosema was the closest driver up towards the head of the pack, racing Hunter Reeve for that beneficiary lead. So Reeve is one of the next to last cars, along with that of Shane Hunter, that we expect to see down for the pit stops. And for those of you who may just be tuning in, if you're wondering what happened to one of the leaders earlier, as far as Dustin Burkhalter, that is an incredible change of events that we saw after he tried to avoid the spinning car earlier of the number 41 pro driver in Hill. That's what set Burkhalter behind the 8 ball, and he's trying to make up some ground after the pit stop. He comes out in 6th on the racetrack.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like he's still trying to bounce this Dustin Burke. It looks like we do. Yeah, that's Dustin just lap-ing a car. It looks like, you know, he's trying to crawl his way back. Looks like he's still 14 seconds behind Travis Hill. But, you know, if someone can do it, I'm pretty sure he can crawl back. Obviously, Travis Hill and Christopher Bailey might be involved in a battle soon enough. And if you start going side by side through this racetrack, you can hold it around the outside, but you're going to be losing a lot of time. But right now, he looks like he has clear track, and, well, that's an invitation for going full on attack mode.
And there we see Hunter Reeve on the pit lane. So this is one of the last cars amongst the front runners that we expect to make their stop. Shane Hunter follows through as well. So about an 8-minute difference or so from drivers who first made the move down for service to the last couple of cars that will trickle in here. And we will see how it all shakes out. Right now, Reeve has fallen back to 5th, but still has the lead for the beneficiaries, with Walsh out in front of the field over Bailey and Hill, who continue their battle. But lap traffic may be the tail of the tape for Walsh throughout the end of this one. He's got a couple lap cars up ahead of him for the time being. And we continue to ride on board here with the dominator in this race. Look at that margin, JP, 20 seconds. It's been thrilling so far to watch Walsh walk away from the field.
Yeah, exactly. He showed this pace right in the beginning. We only had, I guess, 3 laps, and he was already 2 seconds ahead of Christopher Bailey. And after, I guess, Bailey made a mistake, he just hasn't looked back. You know, looks like he's not on full-on attack mode, because that gap hasn't really gone up since we saw before the pit window. Obviously, he has absolutely no need to put in qualifying laps. You know, 20 seconds ahead, you can just essentially turn it down the engine, you know, just make sure you hit all the apexes, not make any mistakes, and just maximizing lap time. But looks like for now it's just a Sunday drive for him. You know, it's absolutely just controlled.
Yeah, one thing we are noticing though with Walsh is the fact that car does appear to be bouncing around a little bit there. Hoping he doesn't have any connectivity issues, because that would be an absolute heartbreaker if that would take Walsh out of the running of this race, which appears to be well within his hands. With that, though, we're going to take this opportunity to thank some of our partners here on the platform who help make these races possible. We all have an absolute blast being part of this coverage with Operation eMotorsport, and these are some of the responsible parties who help us have this good time here on these broadcasts on Tuesday nights. This broadcast tonight is brought to you by our partner at Tucson Sound Art. Remember, your picture, your music. Head on over and check out their products and services at TucsonSoundArt.com. And use the promo code PitStopTV for your checkout. And again, that website is TucsonSoundArt.com to learn more. We're also brought to you by Race Pace, because you can pick up the pace with Race Pace, a community-driven setup shop and driver development program. Race Pace Setups, the place you want to go to up your game next time out and in competition. We're also partnered up with Permanent Makeup in Maine, because you deserve the best care that money can buy. Check out their available services at permanentmakeupinmaine.com to learn more. And, of course, we are partnered with Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV, whiplash-media.com to learn more. As we now have 17 and a half minutes left to go in this event, Walsh continuing his continued dominance. And we talked a little bit earlier about one of the other beneficiaries in the field, and I want to have this opportunity to tell a quick story about Callum Belden. Callum is somebody who we saw momentarily earlier. He is someone who served in the U.S. Marine Corps back from 2009 all the way to 2018. Callum is a former Marine Raider and infantry officer, and during his service, he was deployed multiple times in Southeast Asia, Korea, Afghanistan. It's somebody who just donated so much time to the military and the service, but he got involved in auto racing back at 16 years old and competed in Sports Car Club of America regional competitions and also in the Formula Continental class. He's currently a driver and board member for the Resilience Racing Foundation, which is a veteran-led nonprofit committed to advancing adaptive hand control technologies and harnessing the profound benefits of motorsports therapy for disabled veterans through competitive racing. Callum joined Operation Motorsports as a beneficiary for Season 1 last year, and he currently drives this entry that you see on screen. And the Operation eMotorsports League is a way for Callum to share his passion for motorsports with his fellow veterans and those who support them. Callum, we appreciate you being here. Callum right now running after a bit of an off-track incident earlier, 2 laps down, 19th in the overall, but Callum has been picking up the pace the more time that he gets under his belt with this platform, and he is another one of the beneficiaries that is well represented with this Operation eMotorsports platform. 16 minutes to go. Chris Wall still dominating. Bailey still the leader in the overall. Hunter Reeves still the leader for the beneficiaries. But JP, we still got a lot of racing left to go here as we enter the final third of competition.
Yeah, exactly. The race is far from over, even though we only have under 16 minutes to go. We saw a lot of mistakes happening from, well, pretty much every single driver so far. So I wouldn't be surprised if he saw some of the top 5 essentially making a few mistakes, silly mistakes here and there. But looks like we do have a bit of a spread out field right now. Looks like every single driver now has its own piece of track to focus on. Looks like Christopher Bailey also got a bit of a breather from Hill at this moment in time. Dustin Burkhalter obviously still trying to catch them both. And Hunter Reeve only 4 seconds behind Burkhalter. Could be trying to catch up near the end of the race. You know, obviously capitalizing on mistakes is going to be essential, but he's still strong on the lead of his class in 5th place.
Yeah, and last week we talked about how ecstatic Hunter Reeve was with that podium finish, and I would not rule that out here, especially if Bailey and Hill start to tussle pretty heavily for the open win. And he's only about 3 seconds off of Burkhalter, and that gap's actually closed the last couple of laps, which is incredible to see here with Reeve trying to back up the good result that he had 1 week ago, currently running top 5 in the overall, and as we mentioned, leading here for the beneficiaries. We're going to take one more break here. We're going to come back in just a moment, but first we want to offer up this word from our friend Chad Phelan.
I'm working on the Porsche GT3 with Park Racing and Volt Racing. I got a phone call from the USO Pathfinder group, and they kind of informed me, and all I heard was cars, Lambos, Porsches, and I was like, yep, good to go. The opportunity that you get just to be able to come out here and actually see these kind of cars, work with teams on hand, and learn. And they don't just say, well, get out of my way and move, and I'll do it. They know. They teach you. That's the favorite part right there.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio here as we have a fight raging on with Theo Broselma, the beneficiary, 2nd in his class, 10th in the overall, trying to get up and pass one of the pros in the field in the terms of David Levine. So right now, Levine, Broselma there, taking a wide entry into the keyhole, trying to have a late apex off the corner to give him a good launch down this back straightaway, and he's now in the slipstream of the BMW, trying to set up a pass to move further up in the running order here as Broselma continues his strong start to this season, or I should say his strong season, with only 2 races left to go. And it's because of, whoa, almost got into the back there. Levine as they come through turn number 4. That was close there, JP.
That was extremely close. I'm not pretty sure if Levine had checked up a bit too much or Theo was just carrying way too much speed. I'm not really sure from that angle, but glad none of these drivers have touched. And it looks like they're still strong for the battle in P9, for P9, sorry. And let's remember, I'm not pretty sure if anything changed on the new season build, but let's remember that the BMW has always been the stronger car on the straight line speed, while the Porsche has been the more agile car, especially on this tiny twisty sections of racetrack. As you can see now, Theo just closing in ever so slightly on each and every single corner. So looks like Theo might have a mountain to climb to try and get past that BMW, especially on the massive straights. But it looks like with the pace, you know, just catching up slowly. Looks like he just caught up nearly 0.2 of a second on the last 2 corners. He might be on for something. Looks like he has the pace, but it looks like, oh, a bit of a mistake on turn 1 might just cost him all the time he just made on the final few sectors.
And ironically, it was a mistake in turn 1 at just shy of the halfway point that may have taken Theo out of contention as far as being able to battle for the beneficiary class win. That bobble there may take him out of at least contesting the 9th position for now, but he's got enough time to try to catch David Levine and get that spot back. Shane Hunter a little bit further up the road from there, but so far there has been no wavering by any of our front runners as far as their respective P1 positions, including Walsh, the overall leader, Bailey, who leads for the open drivers. In fact, he started to gap his closest pursuer for that open lead, and there's Bailey on the racetrack. A little bit of lap traffic ahead as he dips the right side tires off into the dirt, but remember back just a little bit ago, I mean, Bailey was under hot and heavy pressure from Trevor Hill for this lead in the open rankings. And as you can see there, judging by timing and scoring on the left-hand side of your screen, he's gapped Hill by about 5 seconds, and he is holding down that spot comfortably. But JP, the last couple of weeks, Christopher Bailey, who was on a bit of a hot streak. Remember, he took not only the open win at the 2 Canadian rounds, but he also took the overall wins there. But ever since, it's been a little bit of mistakes that have kept Bailey out of competition and contention for the win at Sonoma. He's got to be able to harness those here in these last 10 minutes or so to be able to hold on to this spot and perhaps grab himself another win in the open rankings.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like he had his mistake, as Theo looks like made his way through David Levine as they head now into turn 2, I'm pretty sure. So that was a nice move by Theo, even though he couldn't see it, but looks like he has the pace to pass. Unfortunately, he seems to be a bit too far away to catch Shane Hunter. But, you know, great to see him making moves, great to see him trying to crawl back, even though he had a small mistake on the beginning of the race. He's just making those positions slowly but surely. But yeah, Christopher Bailey made a mistake, I guess, in the first part of this racetrack, on the first 15 minutes. But since then has been a clean race for him. Not a single mistake, not a single off-track by, well, I could tell. And, well, that's what he has to do to try and keep that open win. And hopefully he can repeat the feat that he did last week, catching that win. And looks like he might be on for a second place overall finish.
Right now, we're continuing to watch this battle here as Bruselma was able to get up and around David Levine for that 9th spot. And since taking that position away, Levine's been pressuring pretty heavily in that BMW. You're on board with him here. And you can just see, JP, you used the term roller coaster earlier when describing this layout, and I think that's the most accurate depiction. And it's not just due to the elevation change, but you're literally doing a bit of tap dancing there as Levine gets real loose off the final corner with the brake and the throttle, and you're kind of trying to flow with it a little bit as you kind of go up and down the elevation changes this track has to offer. It's a real tiptoe dance as you see Levine struggle again and go off course. This time he's trying to save it as he comes back up onto the racetrack to the keyhole.
Like, extremely nice save by David Levine on the exit of turn 1. Looks like that BMW is not liking the tires at this moment as he's just getting loose. As you can see now, looks like he just got loose mid-corner again. So something might be up with that BMW. It might be overheating the tires. But yeah, you know, you're just having to just, I guess, just balance the throttle and braking. We saw some drivers unfortunately spinning as the elevation change, as the track suddenly switches from uphill to downhill. You know, the weight of the car just shifts. As you can see now, the BMW looks like it's again getting loose. So it's just a small and fine balance of the race car that you have to have on this racetrack. But looks like most of these drivers got the hang of it. Obviously, the beginning of the race was a bit, I guess, a bit rough for some drivers. But looks like everybody now got the hang of it, even though we're seeing some small mistakes. But that's due to a complete different reason.
And as you can see, as this race continues to wind down, these drivers are pressing pretty hard. And as we mentioned in the lead-in here, as we're looking at the pro points leader, and Brandon Egerchek, who has been pretty quiet all night long. Remember, he was one of the first cars to come down to the pit lane for service. Currently running in the 6th spot, but one of the fellow pro drivers is not that far behind as far as a race 4 position up here in the top 10, as Travis Hill, who had that spin out of a podium position earlier tonight, is currently running just behind Egerchek in 7th. One of the reasons why we keep highlighting the championship points is this is the second to last race of the season. So where is our season going to wrap up, you say? It's going to happen at the Sebring International Raceway 1 week from tonight. And we also talked about this being the last sprint race of the year. Well, we kick things off in style at Daytona with a dual distance event. We're going to wrap things up at Sebring 1 week from tonight with a 120-minute or 2-hour contest to crown our champions for yet another successful Operation eMotorsport series. And that's why we're paying so much attention to not only the race leaders or class leaders, but also those who sit atop the championship standings coming into tonight's event. But so far tonight, JP, I think Chris Walsh has had as good of a race that you could possibly have in anything ever. I mean, besides that one hiccup there, while trying to avoid John Fix as he came back on the racetrack, this has been a flawless performance for Walsh as he is trying to walk away here to another pro victory.
Yeah, exactly. Walsh is doing the perfect weekend, as we see in F1, sometimes drivers trying to achieve again, I'm pretty sure it's called the Grand Slam, where you lead every single practice session, lead qualifying, get pole position, lead every lap, and get the fastest lap of the race. Looks like he might be on course to that, because remember, even though he made a pit stop quite early, he came ahead of every single driver and still maintained his lead on the race. So just an absolutely perfect race so far, you know, absolutely no mistakes whatsoever, just cruising along at this point in time, just making sure the laps go by as he now heads down to, I'm gonna kick off around 7 laps to go. Just, you know, perfect race, not a mistake. For me, one of the drivers of the day for sure.
When we talk about the Pro Championship standings, Walsh is not a name that you have anywhere on your points bracket. Reason being is that Walsh has not run all the races. As a matter of fact, he took some of his time to join the Pit Stop TV broadcast booth in some of the middle races of this season, offered up some great insight and information. But as you can see, any time that his name appears on the entry blank for pro competition, he is somebody to keep your eye on. He proved that back in race number 3 at the Virginia International Raceway, which ironically carries a lot of similarities to this Mid-Ohio sports car course. There's a pair of long straightaways there. There's a lot of elevation change, some very tight and technical quadrants of that racetrack. Walsh not only captured top honors for the pros in that race, but he also went on and won the overall, and it looks as though he is less than 5 minutes away from emulating that same feat, this time though at the Mid-Ohio sports car course, and this time setting himself up here for a week-long celebration before we head to Sebring, as he is absolutely putting a whooping on this field with less than 5 to go.
And obviously looking back on the grid right now, I'm pretty sure this is Brandon Egerchik. Looks like he's just trying to fend off Hill, who unfortunately had a small off while chasing the other Hill, and looks like he's trying to find his way back into 6th place now, battling for 6th place for Brandon Egerchik. Obviously Brandon finished on 2nd place at Sonoma last week. But looks like they're going to be heading down into turn 4, and looks like Travis is just getting closer and closer. Brendan's trying to soak in all the pressure. Last week, Hunter got really close to Brendan, but unfortunately left traffic saved Brendan essentially. Looks like we might have another replay of last week, but hopefully Brendan has no traffic to help him this time, only raw pace.
Coming into tonight's race, we told you that Brandon Egerchik was the point leader. 2 drivers were tied, though, for 2nd in the championship standings. They were Tyler Langenberg and Shane Hunter. Hunter is 2 spots back behind Egerchik as we now ride on board with David Levine. He's trying to get back up around Theo Broselma, who's trying to get up and around Shane Hunter, who we just said was 2nd in pro points. He can't afford to give up any more spots, with Egerchik 2 spots further up the road than him. And Egerchik certainly doesn't want to give up that spot there to Hill, as this battle for 6th and 7th takes place, and we are now watching the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th respectively, with still under 3.5 minutes to go. Precious track position, precious points still on the line, and for Broselma it matters as well, because he's trying to hold on to that spot there as he rides 2nd in the beneficiary rankings. We move back up the road here as we continue to watch Travis Hill and Egerchik duke it out for 6th, and this would also be for 3rd in the pro rankings, with Burkhalter well up the road in 4th on the overall, and Walsh obviously the leader by over 24 seconds here as they hit the back straightaway once more.
Well, Brandon obviously now has his sights on 2 drivers. Obviously Travis Hill right behind him, and right ahead of him, only 2 seconds ahead of him, he does have Hunter Reeve on that 5th spot. Obviously he's on a battle with another pro driver right behind him, and that's what really matters. But obviously you want to finish as far ahead as possible, and if he can get close to Hunter and pass him, he obviously is going to have that 1 car buffer between him and Travis Hill right behind him. That's going to be essential if he wants to keep that position to try and fight for the chip, or not fight for the chip, but essentially just keep his championship alive. And looks like right now he's soaking in all the pressure. No mistakes have been made so far, while he's still trying to catch Hunter Reeve as they now head down into turn 12 and head into the final corner to start another, and looks like might be the 2nd to last lap of the race.
Yeah, we'll probably be coming up to about 2 laps to go here as Egerchik is starting to lose the handle on that car, it appears. Hill's going to have a look inside of turn 1. That's not the best passing zone, but this is where we've seen some drivers get forced into a mistake. And you see there Egerchik had to pedal it on exit. Here comes Travis Hill looking for the 6th spot as they approach the keyhole. We're side by side. Egerchik's going to try to outbrake him in the corner of the BMW. He washed this wide, and this fight may continue down the backstretch, still side by side.
Looks like I was surprised that Brandon Agerchik didn't go defensive on turn 2, but that looks like it was the best opportunity because he just got a great run on the exit of the corner. He's not going to be able to go defensive as they head now into turn 4. Now I'm sure Travis Hill is going to be diving the Porsche. No, he backs off from the inside line. That was quite surprising. And looks like Brandon's going to be living to see that sixth position, to keep it that 6th position for at least another lap, as that was an incredible run on the outside of turn 2. I'm still surprised. And, well, great defensive skills from Brandon.
Yeah, not all that often can you see somebody fend off a challenge on the outside of turn number 2 at Mid-Ohio, but Egerchek found a way to do it. There is some lap traffic up ahead, and they're also closing in on Hunter Reeve here, who still continues to hold down the final spot in the top 5. It also should be noted that last time through, Chris Walsh lost about 10 seconds of his lead as he now appears to be working his way back here to the line. We may have 1 lap to go when he gets back to the start-finish line. I do not see the white flag displayed just yet. Walsh, though, lost a chunk of time to that of Bailey as he continues to teeter-totter his way in and out of the system, hoping that it hangs on for at least 1 more lap, or maybe even this last half lap as he comes down Thunder Alley once more. We'll see if he'll make it to the line in time here. Still have not gotten official indication of the white flag. It's going to be awfully close, but Walsh is hoping this race comes to a close sooner rather than later because he wants to assure himself a victory as he comes through the carousel here this time. Off of the final corner, what's it going to be? This is going to be awfully close here as Walsh comes to the stripe. They give it the white flag there. It looks as though it's going to be 1 lap to go for Walsh. He just got to the line here, and this will be his final circuit around.
Yeah, Chris Walsh looks like he got on the absolute last second to get started another lap. So obviously just looks like he wants to drive a few extra miles on that Porsche. Obviously that car must be on the rails for him to wanting to do that, but obviously provides us another lap to hopefully tune in for the battles. But you know, what a drive from Chris. You know, even wanting to go that extra lap just shows the level of confidence that he has, not only on himself but also on his car.
As he comes down the back straightaway here, it offers up the unique perspective. We mentioned that big gap in time there that we noticed. That could have been his attempt to maybe cut this race 1 lap shorter. It looked as though he almost timed it out to perfection, but fortunately for us, we get another lap of this battle. Egerchek trying to fend off the other hill in the field. This is the race that heads down towards turn number 1. Right now, Travis Hill, who spun out of a podium spot earlier in this race, trying to climb his way up in a 6th position, while Hunter Reeve is just further up the road here as they approach the keyhole for the final time. Hill having a look down low. Egerchek fends him off for now, and this fight will rage on for this final lap.
Yeah, looks like Travis Hill is only going to have another opportunity for an overtake, as now we can see Chris Walsh coming up on the last corner, absolutely dominating the race, and he comes to win yet another race, another dominant fashion for him. Absolutely class of the field. Looks like we do have Theo on the pit lane, so might have misjudged on fuel, unfortunately for Theo.
Theo Broselma there pitting on the last lap of this event as Walsh comes to the checker. He's going to grab his 2nd pro win of the season and his 2nd overall, while this race continues on with the pro point leader Egerchek trying to fend off Travis Hill with about a half lap to go. Bailey gets the win for the open competitors. Hunter Reeve is trying to cement the beneficiary honors here. 2 cars up ahead of this battle as it rages on for the final few corners.
As looks like Brandon might be on. He goes defensive on turn 12. That's going to wash him out a bit wide on the exit. No, looks like he's all said and done. And Brandon Egerchek, after suffering from all the pressure, manages to finish P6 just ahead of Travis Hill. As we do have another battle, looks like raging on. Further back, is that Levine and Shane Hunter? Looks like it is on the number 927, as they both looks like are going to be finished off in that order, as David Levine looks like got a bit lost on turn 12, but a bit too far away to try to make a move.
So they'll come to the line to make it official. It's going to be Hunter, who is 2nd in points, having to settle for a finish behind the driver he's chasing in the standings. Hunter comes to the stripe there in 8th, David Levine 9th, and Theo Broselma 2nd in the beneficiary rankings. Going to be a top 10 finish on the overall after having to pit late. Broselma comes to the line to put this race in the books as one of the final cars to cross the stripe on the lead lap, rounding out your top 10. So Chris Walsh, Chris Bailey, and Hunter Reeve are your winners. Ironically, it is the same exact winning order that we had not only at round 3 at VIR, but also at round number 5. It appears as though the odd number races for this campaign have been very good to those 3. As a matter of fact, it was Charlie Bass who got the win in the pros at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. But Bailey, Reeve, and Walsh, your winners. We're going to have a chance to hear from all 3 of them after their success in the penultimate race of the 2021 Winter League season for Operation eMotorsport. Interviews with our class winners coming up just around the corner next on Pit Stop TV. Welcome back to the virtual Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where the virtual crowd was privy to another exciting round of action here for round number 7 of the 2021 Winter Edition for Operation eMotorsports, presented by RECARO and Mobile One. And tonight we see some familiar names coming back to victory lane across all our respective classes, some of which helped extend their championship points leads, while others just went out for what they may consider an average Tuesday night drive by putting a whooping on the field. And by that, we're talking about, of course, the driver who took our overall win and our win for the pros. We're going to welcome him to the broadcast booth, a seat which he's relatively familiar with, but he may have liked the vantage point that he had tonight a little bit better. Chris Walsh, first off, welcome back to Pit Stop TV. Secondly, though, your second win of the season, but this one appeared to be as perfect of a drive that one could ever have. Is this one of the most satisfying victories of your sim racing career?
Turned one there in like the second or third to last lap and made a bit of a mistake. So other than that, it was pretty good drive, pretty straightforward. Everyone was pretty tight across the field, so I'm sure there's some good racing going on. Like everyone seemed like the laps were close in qualifying, so it was good to go out. And Chris Bailey was running with me for a little bit, so I had a good time, and I really like Mid-Ohio. It's a very fun track. It flows really nicely, so yeah, it just it worked out for me.
I'm glad you brought that up because we did notice the gap virtually get cut down there almost in half at that one portion of the racetrack. Thought maybe you were backing up to perhaps time the white flag, so interesting to see that that's what happened. You also had another scary moment about midway through the race where the lap car was rejoining the track in the mid-sector. Tell us what was going through your mind there, because my heart sunk watching you get on the brake pedal there, as I thought that was going to be a disaster. That seemed to be one of the only other moments of the race where things got a little bit hairy. Was there more than that, or do you recall the moment which we're referencing there? How close was it, at least from your perspective?
Yeah, I saw that yellow flag came up, and so I knew coming through the right-hander there that something was going on the other side, but it's blind. I wasn't expecting to see a car pulling out into the track, but he did a good job of holding up and letting me have the line inside, so he didn't drive all the way across the race line, so that was okay. But anything, tracks like this are very tight, technical. Anytime you get into lap traffic, it's always a bit of a game on how do you navigate it, how do you pass safely, so you run your race and you don't ruin other people. So I think everyone did a pretty good job tonight of respecting those things and giving space where they needed to.
Now, one other unknown element that came into play here tonight, in fact, heads-up move by series organizers to jump on this before we got the race going. With the new build, it kind of differed a little bit with fuel mileage for some of these cars, and we haven't had enough time since the new build came out to truly perfect whatever the fuel number may be. Was that something that you were confident in as far as strategy when it came down to planning your one and only pit stop in this race, or was there any element of concern as far as what the proper time would be to come down, take your fuel, and make it to the end?
Yes, in practice I was able to run enough laps where I could get a fuel burn calculation and kind of see what the car was doing after the build. So I had enough information going into the race that I wasn't worried about it. And then, my other strategy there was, hey, build enough of a gap to where I can add a touch extra fuel just in case that's incorrect. The other kind of curveball with it all is they updated the tires on these GT4 cars, so I didn't get a ton of practice with that, but I will say that the tire model feels really good. I think it's a big improvement from where it was, so I actually really enjoyed driving it. And yeah, by the end though, they were dead. I think they were pretty slick at the end of that race. So yeah, it was a good go.
Well, it was an absolutely incredible performance. As we mentioned, your second time in victory lane. Granted, we haven't seen you run all the races so far this season. I guess the big question is, with one race to go, and that's the extra distance event next week at Sebring, can we expect you to be in there to try to back up your win here tonight, or are you going to join us on the sidelines and see how that season finale plays out? What's your plan for next Tuesday night?
Yeah, I'm absolutely racing. I love Sebring. I think the extended event will be a lot of fun. And, anytime if I can be in the car driving, that's where I prefer to be.
Well, the odd makers already have you penciled in as the favorite. Chris, before we let you go, we know that, and especially with this series, that everybody's involvement is truly a team effort. Who do you have to thank for your success here tonight at the virtual Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, obviously our sponsors, Mobile One, RECARO, what you guys do there, Pit Stop TV, the broadcast is always excellent. Air Force Gaming is a team that kind of just got stood up from the Air Force, so it's been pretty cool to be running with those guys. It didn't look like my livery loaded in, but I was running a gaming livery this evening. Porsche Sport Media, and Archer Brothers Racing. So all those guys, made this possible, and obviously always my wife helping me with kids' bedtime because the race is always over light with that time.
Well, we're glad that all those people are on your side, and what a day, what a drive. Even with that little bit of a blip on the radar there with a few laps to go, final margin of victory in excess of 15 seconds. Chris Walsh, you dominated today, man. Congrats on win number 2 this season.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks a lot, Chris. You as well. Again, that's Chris Walsh. Not only did he pick up top honors in the pros, but also took his second overall of the season as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to JP Costa, who was with our Open winner and P2 overall finisher, and Christopher Bailey.
Well, Christopher, first things first, well done on P2. I'm glad you're thrilled, obviously, with a win again in your class. Just talk us through the beginning of the race. You qualified in P2, an excellent qualifying session. You were kind of hanging off with Chris Walsh at the beginning of the race. Then all of a sudden, you find yourself 14 seconds back. What happened on the beginning of the race?
Beginning of the race was mainly trying to stay clean. Unfortunately, caught a little bit too much of the curb in turn 1 and looped it. And after that point, it was just a matter of trying to fuel save to get to the pit stop and then see what would happen afterwards.
Yeah, and after that small mistake, unfortunately, you got backed up against your rival, and obviously you just couldn't, I guess, just pull the gap as you were doing in the first part of the race. Was that just lacking confidence after the small mistake?
No, I had pushed the tires a little bit too far early on in the stint, trying to keep up with Chris Walsh, and I was paying for it near the end of the stint, for sure.
And obviously at the end, you were just flying, you know, you managed to gap him again, and obviously at the end of the race where you're just like trying to, I guess, just push a bit too much, just trying to see if maybe if Chris makes a mistake, you can capitalize it on, or were you just like handing it back, already accepting, let's say, the victory in your class, and just chilling and making it sure that you got to the finish flag?
A little bit of both. As nice as it is to obviously get the class win, I definitely wanted to try and stay as close to Chris as possible in case he did slip up.
Well, unfortunately, you weren't close enough. Obviously, he made a small mistake on the latter part of the race. But, you know, coming up to next week, obviously, we do have an endurance event at Sebring. Can we expect you to probably bring the fight to Chris Walsh next week?
Yeah, I'm going to try and give him a run for his money for sure.
And what's going to be the strategy? Full 2 hours of pressure, maybe just a bit of fuel save. Have you thought about it anytime soon?
I haven't really put too much thought into it. This new tire model and update with the new build is definitely thrown a wrench into some setup, so I'll have to spend some time practicing for sure.
Well, I hope we can talk to you again next week. Who do you have to thank for your amazing win here tonight?
Always, I want to thank the TV broadcast crew at Pits.tv, Mobile One and RECARO are series sponsors, and Operation Motorsports for putting everything on.
Well, thank you. I'm sure they're happy for your result again. Well done on your overall win, actually a class win and overall P2, and I hope to talk to you next week.
Much. I hope to be talking to you guys as well.
Well, that was Chris Bailey, finish off in P2 overall. Again, another class victory for him on a great streak. And now back to you, Eric, to talk to Hunter Reeve once again.
Thanks a lot, JP Costa. It's a pleasure to welcome Hunter Reeve into the broadcast booth. We've had 7 races so far this season, and Hunter Reeve, you have captured the beneficiary class victory in 6 of those 7, and you will unofficially extend your championship point lead with 1 race to go. First off, though, I gotta say it's a lot of fun, especially as someone who got to cover the series 1 year ago, to watch your progression as an overall driver. You got a podium in the overall last week, top 5 here tonight amongst an incredibly talented group of drivers. While the class victories, I'm sure, mean a lot, how much does it mean for you to be able to run up there in the mix with all the other competitors on a track as difficult as the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course?
Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty awesome, and you know, I've done a lot to try and just practice to get better. But yeah, it's been nice to see, like, I guess, my own progress and getting up front with some of these guys.
And, you know, it's hard to believe that we're using the term progress with such a dominating season for you so far. As you mentioned, you're 6 for 7 on the victories for the beneficiaries. The only one that got away from you there was back at Road America, but you showed pace and speed there as well. But we also had some new variables coming into tonight that we talked to a couple of the drivers earlier about, including, you know, new fuel settings that were thrown into the mix with the new build. How much practice were you able to get in with some of the new updates, and what was your preparation like for tonight's race, knowing that we did have a couple of new items to keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I mean, I only did laps, so when tonight was the first time I've driven on the new tires and fuel settings, so and it was hot, so I feel bad for Theo. I feel like he could have given me a pretty good run, but I think he had some problems with his pit strategy. But it was difficult. It's hard to learn a new tire, like, straight out of the chute and racing.
Yeah, and one other thing that we've happened to notice over the last couple of weeks is you have this ability and this style in the way in which you drive where you seem to always be able to stay out of trouble, and that was tested very early in this race when one of the Hill brothers got together, or I should say had the back end of the car step out over on the far side of the track. Also, Dustin Burkhalter, last week's overall winner, had to check up, and you just found a clear pathway by. We only got a couple of looks at that, but how close was that moment for you as far as potentially unraveling your race as in its entirety very early in the going?
Well, the other update was smoke, so that kind of threw. So it was a little bit of Days of Thunder right there, I think. But no, it's just just felt like I had enough room to get through, and I wasn't too worried about it. And I knew, I mean, I could trust. I think it was Trevor that spun. Trevor, I believe, and I knew I would be confident in him staying placed till it was clear. So I felt like I could have made it through okay.
Well, it seems as though that no matter the style of track, whether it be Daytona, Virginia International Raceway, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Sonoma, you can sense the trend here. We got one left, Sebring International. However, it's a 2-hour event. It's the last extra distance event we have in this winter slate, last race of the season. What is your confidence like going into that, where you could sew up this beneficiary title 1 week from tonight?
I don't try and let myself get too confident, because then you get cocky and you make mistakes. So I'm taking it a race at a time, and I think Theo can still catch me in the championship. So it's probably going to go down to the wire again. And with the new tire, I feel like it's evened out the field just looking at qualifying time. So it's going to be, this race is a challenge, and I think Sebring will be a big challenge as well.
That's a great point, and certainly something that we're going to be watching for come 1 week from tonight at Sebring. And Hunter, before we let you go, as we had a chance to kind of touch on a little bit earlier with our other winners in classes, obviously this is a huge initiative that is put on by so many different people. Who do you have to thank for your recent success, including your class win tonight at Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, Operation Motorsports for putting this all together. RECARO, Mobile One, it's so awesome to have them on board this program. Team HJ and Tooth Auto Sport.
Well, Hunter, thank you for all that you have done and you continue to do for everybody involved, and congratulations on your success. And hopefully 1 week from tonight, we'll be talking to you once more with a little bit more pride and accolades to be passing down your way if you could hold on to that top spot in points. Hunter Reeve, congratulations on your 6th win of the season. Good luck next week at the finale.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Again, that is Hunter Reeve, who, as we mentioned, captured yet another class victory for the beneficiaries. What a night. I mean, names that we've seen in victory lane before, but under these select circumstances with only one race to go after this one, certainly a lot of pride is in the hands of the likes of Chris Walsh, Chris Bailey, and Hunter Reeve heading into our finale in Sebring 1 week from tonight. Now let's take a look at how the entire field fared when they were coming down for the checkered flag. We heard from Walsh, who was the winner. Christopher Bailey comes home in second, top honors in the open rankings as well. And Trevor Hill, and I want to thank Jason Leach for passing this along. As somebody who saw these names in the running order before, Trevor Hill is in fact the brother of Travis Hill. Travis is the team principal and driver for Tooth Auto Sport, and he's also an Operation Motorsport board member. Trevor is Travis's brother. He's also a team member there at Tooth Auto Sport, so there's a connection. They are in fact brothers. They were both running up in the top 3 at one point in this race. Trevor gets the nod with the podium finish and second in the open rankings, while Dustin Burkhalter, last week's overall winner and pro victor, had to settle for 4th on the overall standings and was second in class when it came to the pro drivers at the finish. And we just heard from Hunter Reeve, who finished top 5 in the overall for the 2nd week in a row and also captured yet another beneficiary win, this time we're rounding out the top 5 here on this very difficult 2.25-mile layout. Brandon Egerchek, the pro points leader, came home in 6th. Travis Hill, rebounding from the spin while battling for a podium spot, comes home in 7th. Shane Hunter, in that late race battle with David Levine, gets the nod there at the checkers to finish 8th, while Levine was 9th. And Theo Broselma, 2nd for the beneficiaries, 10th on the overall running order, last car on the lead lap.
So I finish off in P11. I do have the pro driver of Talon Lingenberg. Unfortunately, the first driver to be lapped. Rodney Campbell finishes off in P12, again a lap down on the open driver. Justin Jarrett, a beneficiary driver, Rodney off that class podium in 13th place. John Winkert, another beneficiary, right behind him in 14th place at number 7. Thomas Zoutzen, our open driver in the number 23, is the first driver to unfortunately finish 2 laps down. Tim Bernard on the number 47 is going to be finished off in P16. Jake Gleason on the number 64 on 17th place. Brian Winker, the last car to be lapped only twice, is going to finish off in 18th. And Callum Belden, our number 11, the first car to be lapped 3 times, is going to be finished off in 19th place. And in 20th, we do have the number 9 of John Fix.
The rest of the field, as we drop back here and see the final cars that were in contention, we saw Rick Hazlitt, who had a moment there through the keyhole, one of many drivers that were caught out at that portion of the racetrack. Paul Lindsay and Charlie Bass. You want to talk about heartbreak of the night awards, maybe be heartbreak of the year awards. both of those drivers who have had success and wins on the pro rankings. In fact, they both took the Canadian rounds of the calendar, taken out before they even got to the start-finish line after an incident coming off of the final corner, 22nd and 23rd respectively. And Kurt Gudenkauf, the last car, I don't believe Kurt was able to turn a lap. The last car signed into the session in 24th spot. So much to take in here, so much to unpack from. But before we move any further, we do want to offer up one more bit of thanks for the partners of this Operation eMotorsport campaign. And very happy to say that we had some time earlier to catch up with a gentleman who works at RECARO Automotive. And it was truly remarkable to know all the history that went back there as far as making RECARO what it is today. I mean, back to 1907 is how long their history extends. And Rick Sistone was offering up some incredible stories, telling us how they're still developing new technology and new data and how they've reached over into the off-road world. He told a great story about Vaughn Gittin Jr. If you didn't get a chance to hear it, I want to invite you all back on the channels to go back and listen to it. Just astonishing all that they do, how some of that technology translates over into the real-world facet of driving in your street car. And they also have an abnormally large presence with veteran and military groups. And that's one of the reasons why RECARO Automotive is a huge partner with Operation Motorsport and Operation eMotorsport in this series. And a reminder that RECARO Automotive puts people first every time. And the proof is right here in what we see happen in this series each and every week. Also, I want to extend a special thank you to Mobile One, as they too have been a longtime partner of Operation eMotorsport. And it's because of RECARO and Mobile One that we are able to have this program in place. Stories that will touch your heart each and every time that you hear some of the backstories of these beneficiaries. And those are a couple of the brands behind making that possible. And we cannot thank them enough for their continued support. Now, on the platform, we have a number of partners here as well that we want to offer thanks to. And it starts with our friends at Tucson Sound Art. And there it is, your picture, your music. Visit the website at TucsonSoundArt.com. Pick any image that you want. It could be that beautiful livery that Chris Walsh, our overall winner, was talking about, even though we didn't get a chance to see it tonight. We're hoping to see it at Sebring 1 week from tonight. But he could take that picture of his race car, picture of a friend, family member, loved one. Head on over to TucsonSoundArt.com. They will take that image, put it on a high-quality frame canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. That way you truly get the best of both worlds, thanks to Sound Art. Again, visit TucsonSoundArt.com for more, and when you go to checkout, be sure to use the promo code PITSTOPTV, all mushed together in one word, at checkout to receive 10% off your purchase. TucsonSoundArt.com to learn more. We're also partnered with RacePace, who is the newest partner here on the platform. They have a Discord link attached on the bottom right-hand portion of your screen. Head on over there, be part of the community, because if you ever wish that you could have a race engineer on speed dial, this is the chance to make that happen. Because thanks to RacePace, which is a driver development service, setup shop, all in one, you can work with Tyler, who is a real-world race engineer, and step up your game before your next race. We heard everybody tonight talking about the new build, the new tire, the new fuel numbers. If you get on in there with RacePace, they're going to make sure that you are up to speed for that Sebring finale 1 week from tonight. It's time for you to pick up the pace with RacePace. We are also partnered up with Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, because when it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner and Ashley Boyer, a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and most importantly, personalized services. Visit their website at permanentmakeupinmaine.com to learn more about their product and services. You can also check them out on social media to see testimonials, examples of what they can do. And again, all that is available at permanentmakeupinmaine.com. And lastly, we are partnered up with Whiplash Media, the parent organization here to Pit Stop TV. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and so much more. A lot of those are facets of our production that you see in play here each and every week. And they also are working on their presence in real racing as well. They have services such as photography, social media management, public relations, and more. Check out the website at whiplash-media.com to learn more. Well, JP Costa, we've got just one more race left to go, and it's an endurance race, 2 hours at Sebring, a track that is known for the historic endurance events that are held there on an annual basis. I can't think of a better setting to close out this Season 2 edition of Operation eMotorsport with so much on the line.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be fantastic, not only to see the drivers going at Sebring, you know, just tackling that circuit, but obviously having a 2-hour race, seeing these drivers attacking each other, you know, just going at it for 2 hours is going to be extremely exciting. We saw this week, you know, we pretty much get no time between battles every single time we have a race battle. So, you know, even if you have a few mistakes on the first lap, I'm pretty sure drivers are going to have plenty of time to try and fight back. And it's going to be an absolutely fantastic race. And I can't wait.
And this is a great opportunity. Good point there, JP. Great chance for us, though. I think we're not going to be the only ones looking forward to it. In fact, our entire production team is going to be looking forward to that one here 1 week from tonight. Gives us an opportunity to remind those viewers who was behind the scenes here on tonight's broadcast and was capable of bringing you all the action. Of course, JP Costa was joining me on the call. Emerson Arden hitting it out of the park on the production side, and Corey Rexford holding it down across our social media platforms as well. We referenced a couple of cool stories that we got to hear earlier in the broadcast. A reminder that if you want to go back and watch any of the Operation eMotorsport races from this season, or if you want to go ahead and bookmark the finale 1 week from tonight, here are some of the places in which you can do so. Facebook.com/pitstoptv/ or Twitter.com/pitstoptv_, Twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV/ or YouTube.com/pitstoptv1/. That's a lot to take in. And we get a chance to catch our breath and come back and do it all over again in 1 week's time. The season finale for the Operation eMotorsport series presented by RECARO and Mobile One coming at you next Tuesday night from Sebring. Before then, though, we've got stock car action on the Charlotte Roval tomorrow night with the Bluegrass iRacing Series here on Pit Stop TV. And Monday night, if you want to get your dirt racing fix fulfilled, the BRP iRacing Series, their 10th race of the year at the Fairbury American Legion Speedway. Again, all information is available on the Pit Stop TV channel, platforms, and social media outlets. What a night. What a race. I need some rest. I can't wait for our finale 1 week from tonight. We'll see you then. On behalf of everybody at Pit Stop TV, our incredible production crew, as well as everybody at Operation eMotorsport, I'm Eric Brennan, and we will bid you all farewell till the finale 1 week from tonight at Sebring, and we'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.